Hello again from my front porch. It's Thanksgiving Day. And of course, that's the day where we, as the name describes, stop and give thanks. Now, I thought about doing a segment where I just sat here and listed off everyone and everything that I'm thankful for, but I realized, number one, that's going to be really boring for you. Number two, it's going to be a long list. Number three, I'm bound to leave somebody out and then people get offended and, let's not even go. So instead, what I've decided to do is to say thank you to one person who I feel embodies a lot of the things that I would be thankful for this holiday season. And that is a gentleman named Pat King. I went to high school with Pat, and over the years, we lost contact. Now, there were four of us, actually, that were really close, good buddies back in high school. Pat, myself, Mark Beckman, and Todd Westling. Todd would go on to become my college roommate. Mark was best man at my wedding. Pat, we just lost contact. No reason. It just happened. Well, then along comes Facebook, and we reconnect there. And thanks to Facebook, Pat and I just kind of picked up with our friendship where it left off. And he is just such a giving, caring fellow. This guy who lives an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Des Moines, drove all the way over here to help us move into this house that I'm in now, back when we did that. When my parents needed new steps built for their house because the ones they had were rotted and falling apart and it was dangerous for them to walk on them, Pat was willing to do the work for just the cost of the materials, just to make sure that they had good, solid steps to use. Just that kind of guy. Well, when we were moving into this house, he saw a little garden statue that we had sitting outside the front door, and he asked if I wanted to just throw it away because it was in really sad shape. It really was. I mean, it had weathered badly. Parts of it had broken in. Parts of it had broken off. And so he said, "Do you want to just toss it?" And I said, No, we can't, because that's a very special, important statue. And I told him why it was important. And by the time I got done, he said, well, then, it needs to be in better shape than this. Do you mind if I take it home and see what I can do for it? I said, okay, sure. So a few weeks later, he calls and says, "I'm done with the statue. I've got it done. Can we meet in Boone and meet halfway and I'll give it back to you?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure." So I go to meet him, and I was not at all expecting what he brought back. And I'm going to show you the statue, and I'm going to tell you the story. But I want you to also understand that when I picked it up from him, he wouldn't take a dime for his work. He did it completely for free. He did it because of the memory that this statue, the importance of what the statue means. Now, here's the statue. Here's what it looks like now. You may have seen actual full sculptures of this. I've seen them in other parks. But this is the statue. It did not have this bronze look to it before. This little boy's head was broken off, and we had it laying actually down in the lap. There was a big gash in the top of this girl's head, which he filled with that foamy stuff and sculpted it. He carved new toes where toes had broken off even. Tried to make it look really great. Now, the reason this statue is so important is because when our daughter Ashley was about 8 years old, so it'd be about 20 years ago, we were in Hobby Lobby, and she saw this statue. It didn't, again, look like this at the time, but she saw this statue in the store, and she said, "We have to stop and get this statue." And we said, "Why? Why do we have to stop and get this statue?" And our 8-year-old daughter, standing there in the aisle of Hobby Lobby, looking at the statue, proceeds to explain, "This is Alex. He's the youngest. It's the boy. This is me, Ashley. She's the oldest. And this is Victoria, our middle daughter, who was born between the two of them, but only lived 4 short days before she passed away. And neither of them actually met her. In fact, Alex wasn't even born when she was born. But so Ashley's looking at this, identifying that these 3 kids are the 3 of our kids, and that because Victoria is now in heaven, she understands all of what the Bible means because she can talk to God. And so Victoria is explaining and showing to Ashley and Alex what is in the Bible, what it's actually saying. That is the message that Ashley got from this statue. Beautiful, beautiful message, and it's very important. And when Pat heard that, he took the statue home and made it look like that. Isn't that amazing? Such a great guy. And now I can assure you, this does not go outside anymore. It sits in my living room. Actually, it sits on this stand that my grandfather actually made. So it's definitely become a family heirloom in its own right. So I'm grateful for that. That story, the statue, it all means tremendous amount to me. But Pat's labor of love to make that statue look as good as it does now, still is something that I am just so impressed by. And so on this Thanksgiving Day, I want to say thank you to Pat King, one of the people who really looks out for others around him and who does the right things when it's called for. And I would challenge all of us to follow his example, for all of us to be more like Pat this Thanksgiving season, but all year long. Until next time, from my front porch.